baseball fans, and welcome to another visit to the Mound. I'm Lark Smith, and he is
Stan Hough.
And we're here today to talk about the five-tool player. We've talked about this before, but didn't quite get into depth as to what it means to be a five-tool player. So first off, let's just hit exactly what a five-tool player is. It's a guy that can hit with power, has some speed, can field, and also can throw.
Exactly. You got to be able to field the ball. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
so those are the five tools you're looking for. Now let's first go in depth into just hitting. You've got your guys.
Let me start with running first.
You want to start with running first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Run, hit, field, throw, and hit with power. We're going to kind of go that way, but that's okay. The running part is essential because that's part of the game. It's the biggest part of the game right now. I mean, you get a guy, and you get a guy hit home runs. You got a guy get on base and run too. You got a lot going for you. So, these guys, the way they're graded, they have 60-yard dash. All right.
Okay.
They grade on a 2 to 8 scale or a 20 to 80 scale. All right. So, on a 60-yard dash, an 8 or 80 runner is a 6.4 seconds or less. Now a 70 runner or 7 runners, 6.5 to 6.6. A 60 runner is a 6.7 to 6.8 or 6 runner. A 5 runner, which is the average speed, is 6.9 to 7, 6.9 seconds to 7 flat. Okay. Those are key, though. Okay, now then once they get in the ball game and they're timing these guys out of the box, on the right-hand side, an 80 runner is going to run to first in 4 seconds, 4.0. A 70 runner is 4.1, 60 is 4.2, 50 is 4.3.
And anybody slower than that is a pitcher.
Or maybe not on the team. Anyway, that's okay. That's all right. But now on the left side, on the 60-yard dash, we're going home to first.
Home to first.
A 60-yard dash is for either side. Okay, home to first, 3.9 seconds is an 8 runner. 4.0 is a 70, 4.1 is a 60, 4.2 is a 50. I stop at 50 because that's your average, okay? Now, hitting both sides. The guy that can hit 330 or better is an 80 hitter. That's the best hitter, okay? And a lot that goes into that is the competition they're playing as well, all right? So those two factors are big time in anybody can hit 750 when the guy can't throw, he can't pitch. You know, they're just taking batting practice out there, so everybody's gonna hit good. But when you're challenged with a really strong arm, that's when you got to really bear down on the hitter and see what he can actually do against those type of pitchers that he'd be facing in professional baseball. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're grading all this is grading on a major league average. It's not graded on a rookie ball or A ball or double A.
It's average. Major league average.
These scouts have to see these players in major league uniforms before they're even considered. So, and if they are, they follow them, and then they get these metrics on them. So, batting average 330 better is an 80 hitter. 300 to 329. Excuse me. Let's see here. 300 to 329 is a 70 hitter. 285 to 289 is a 60 hitter. The 270 to 298 is a 50 hitter. But you got to take into consideration the competition and also their age. Where are they in their development? Are they late bloomers? Are they on top of it, or where are they in their age? So that's big right there.
Okay, now you're mentioning numbers like 80, 70, 60. 80 for hitting, 80 for running. Do they add those numbers together to decide who is, which player is better than the next player? Is that each?
Well, what you got is you got multiple categories, and those grades at 80, 50, 40, 20, right. 60, those are averaged together as to where the player is all round.
Okay.
So
okay.
you're looking a 50-plus average grade is
above average ball player.
average to above average. Now, 60 is above average, 70 is a really good ball player, and 80 is
You
top notch.
Okay.
If it comes out to that. So when you get the 5 tools, there's probably going to be a lot of 70s and 80s in there if you can do all that.
Right.
We did talk a little bit about we generally speaking on one of our other episodes, but this is more of a specific deep dive into that.
Right.
Now, most players are 4-tool or 3-tool or just have 2 tools. 2 tools, you better
make a picture out of them.
Well, possibly, yeah. If one of their tools is not throwing, then we got trouble.
Yeah,
we got problems.
I understand.
So, so that's how that's put together. Now, these grades are projected future grades because you're seeing them right now. And
right.
You got to follow them. I think most organizations have their scouts. They like somebody. They got to see at least nine games. And if they're that good, they're going to see a lot more games.
Right.
And there are some number one picks that were seen 25, 35 times before they got down to this guy's the real deal. So your projected future for power. Okay, you got guys with raw power. You got guys that are strong enough to hit it out of any ball. Yeah, But what you're looking for is that guy that can consistently put the bat on the ball and have an opportunity to hit it out virtually any time up.
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn was more of an average hitter. I mean, a good, solid line drive hitter. I mean, I'm talking about, let's see.
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout. Now, that's a good one right there because he is consistently hitting 30, 35, 40 home runs a year and hitting for a really good average. This is a 5-tool guy. Now, he's hitting those home runs. He's got a high batting average, and he is consistently getting on base and can run bases. He's fast. Plus, he's got a strong throwing arm from the outfield. And they playing him in center field too, so he can cover a lot of ground. Now, a lot of that has to do also with instinct. Instinctively, guys, that's the better outfielder is probably your center fielder. I mean, your strongest arm is probably going to be in right field, and then the left fielder is covering his ground out there in left field too, and he might have those same tools as well. But all 3 fields have to be covered.
Sure.
Anyway, so let me get to the pitching. Hitting for power. If a kid's projected to hit 45 home runs plus, that's an 80 hitter.
Yeah.
8 or 80. If he's hitting 30, if he's projected to hit 35 to 44 home runs, that's a 70 hitter. Okay, a 60 is 26 to 34. A 50 is 15 to 25. I got to tell you, the guys that are hitting 15 to 25 home runs, they're grading higher these days than they used to be.
They are.
All right? Because it used to be if you hit 200 and hit 15 home runs, you might get released because your average wasn't very good.
Right.
But as we spoke last time, the chicks did dig the long ball.
Yeah.
Well,
that explains a Joey Gallo, how he sticks around.
Exactly, and he just got signed too. I think somebody just signed the Minnesota Twins or somebody like that. Anyway, either way. Okay, so your power guys are really customarily the peripheral guys. Your first base, third base, right field, left field. Okay.
Right.
But now everybody is expecting them, all of them, to do this.
Right.
They're expecting the catchers to hit for a good average too, and with a lot of power.
Those are few and far between.
Exactly. I mean, the one that comes to mind right now is Real Muto with the Phillies. All right, so this is basically, in a nutshell, what scouts go out to look for. There's other things they look for too, as far as their tools. They got the 5 tools. They want to know who he hangs around with. So it becomes down to a makeup deal.
Yeah, that's another thing that I call the triple A's.
What would that be?
Ability, aptitude, attitude.
Okay, attitude is good. It's big. All right.
Yeah.
You want a guy that, and I'm not seeing a lot of this, but the teams that are the best are doing a lot of. They're playing team baseball.
Mm-hmm.
These guys that beat their chest and look at me and all that stuff. That I me stuff. That doesn't bode well for in a team setting. All right. You better be doing that a whole lot before they'll say, okay, you can keep doing that. But this is a team game, so we're trying to do this as a group, not just one guy.
And that team game concept is why Aaron Judge just signed a big contract. Is because he's a team player.
Well,
he doesn't necessarily, thump the chest and point at
doesn't.
himself.
I mean, Mickey Mantle used to say, I hit a home run off a pitcher. I put my head down and run,
Yeah.
He knows I hit the ball pretty good. And I don't want to. I'm not there to show him up.
No.
But that's happening way too much. Jumping up and down and throwing the bat in the air, and that causes bad feelings to the opposing team.
Yeah,
it causes some other things to happen too.
It causes the tower to get buzzed.
I could name that pitch in one. I've named that chin music in one pitch. So, you're looking for that kind of quality in a player, that'll go out and bust his tail every day. And it's hard to do when you're playing 162. Even in the minor leagues, you're playing 144 games. And rookie ball, you're playing 70, and a lot of kids haven't played that much all year.
Right.
In 2 years, maybe. I remember in high school, how many games we play?
16, 18 maybe.
Yeah.
We got in the postseason, played maybe 2 more.
Yeah, that kind of deal. So that's really not a whole lot. And also, in teenage ball, we only played about 15 or 16 games too.
Right.
That's all changed now. Now
travel ball.
Travel ball and select baseball, they're playing tournaments virtually every weekend.
They're playing 5-6 games in a weekend.
They're playing 40 to 80 games a session.
Yeah.
In the summer session, and then in the fall session, they don't play quite as many, but they do play a lot.
Well, back to the 5 tools, fielding. I've noticed at the college level, I see a lot of JUCO ball, that they are really drilling into, especially the left side infielders, the backhand pickup. They don't want them in front stopping it. They want that backhand pickup.
Well, you heard range. His guy's got good range. Well, how do you dictate that? Range is nothing more than positioning.
Right.
So if you got good range and you're positioned right, there are times you're gonna have to use that backhand.
Sure.
Now, that should be worked on. Everything's from the ground up. So your backhand, you're close to the ground, and you're bringing it up and in. You're bringing it into your middle of your body, so you can get set to throw and getting your feet in position. A lot of that athleticism that these scouts look for is part of that. All right. Actually, they're looking more. How does he catch a ball hit right to him? How does he catch a hard ground ball hit right to him? Is he staying with the ball? Is he shying away from it?
Right.
All right. So fielding the ball from the ground up is the first thing. Second thing, how are you reading the swing? How are you reading the guy's swing?
Right.
So if you got a quick bat, if you're a shortstop, you're going to play the right-handed hitter, you're going to play him a little more to the left side. If he's got a slow bat, you're going to play him more in the middle.
That was the only reason I had any range at shortstop, is I was pretty good at anticipating where the batter was going to hit the ball.
By reading bat speed.
By reading bat speed.
That's the key right there. And also, you got to have a really good idea on what your pitcher's doing.
Sure.
If your pitcher's throwing the ball away, you might as well. You got a better chance of playing more up the middle,
sure,
whether they're good, if it's a quick bat or not, because he's pitching everybody away.
Right.
I don't like that. I would rather my pitcher pitching in effectively and then going away when he has to,
right,
unless he's just his fastball's just not competitive enough. Then you pitch backwards. You start using your breaking ball more than your fastball, and use your fastball to set up that other stuff.
Right.
Okay, so let's get back to the grading part. So the overall grade, once they're all the categories are graded out, then they take that average, and that's where they put themselves as far as in the pecking order as the draftability.
Right.
Okay, so all of this to say a little bit right here. This is for all the kids to know. If they're interested in playing at higher levels, this stuff that we just talked about has to be
Worked
on, and you got to apply it, and then those numbers that you're putting out have to be at a high level to get to have some interest your way. You know, I've seen a lot of guys that had really like strong arms, but they couldn't run, and their hitting the abilities were like not that good.
That was me. I could run, I could field, I could throw. I couldn't hit.
Well, anyway, you know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
It's you got to put all these things together if you're scouting players, and if the player is objective enough, he knows where his shortcomings are. He's going to work on them. And
Right.
we've talked about the other stuff on how to work on them in former episodes.
Right.
So we really want to go into all that right now. But anyway, so once a scout puts this all together, then he sends in a report, and his report is graded or is gone over by the scouting director. Now, they got area scouts, they got regional cross-checkers, and then they got national cross-checkers. So if you got a guy that's really good and you like him and you're selling this to your scouting director, the regional cross-checker is going to come in, and he's got to say okay to it. And once the regional cross-checker comes in, and in effect, what they're doing is they're watching more ball games too.
Absolutely.
Okay, then in effect, after so many ball games, they really like this guy. They get a national cross-checker to come in. Now that's the guy that if he puts his name on it, that player is going to get drafted. It goes through a range of grades,
Sure.
Grades from different folks and different levels of that, and that's how this takes place. Once again, if the kid is that interested in going and playing at higher levels, then basically what he's going to have to do is get himself strength-wise strong enough to hit the ball out of the ballpark, consistent enough to hit for a good average. Now, what I'm talking about on the good average part is hard, consistent contact.
Right.
So if you're working on that, your average is going to take care of itself.
Sure.
All right. And hard, consistent contact against a quality pitcher.
Right.
Or pitchers, so to speak.
Sure.
So that's a part that part, and you work on your running. All right. That don't mean run every now and then to do sprints.
Means run every day.
Every day.
Absolutely.
You go to some of these colleges, they do their sprint work virtually every day.
And a lot of that also has to do with any weight training as well as weight control.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yeah, your own body weight.
Can't be eating donuts and make it.
No.
No, you can't.
You got to be a lean, mean fighting machine.
Yeah, the donuts, they won't get you. Won't get you there.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you're right about that. So, take all those things and put them all together.
Right. And then I would think, that's the A of my triple A's. The A is those 5 tools, the ability. Then after that, I guess it's conversations with the player to find out his aptitude and his attitude.
Yeah, I mean, if the scout's interested in the player, he's going to eventually walk up to him and introduce himself and say, he's not going to say, we're going to draft you right out of the chute.
Oh, no.
He's going to find out who you are, what you're about. He's going to find out who you hang around with. I mean, there are some scouts that went to college and high school counselors. Who's he hang around with?
Right.
And you're going to get a general opinion. They may not be specific, but it's enough to know thumbs up or thumbs down.
Sure.
I believe makeup is a big deal that's pretty much overlooked a lot. But when you got guys that are tools, they do some overlooking a little bit, but because you don't have that many guys with those all 5 tools.
Right.
So in effect, what needs to happen is they need to get them in and school them on their conduct, and what they need to do to go to higher levels. And now we never did that when I was in pro ball. Now, when I was a coach, we never got that far. We assumed what we got was they were ready to go and they had the great makeup and all that. I would assume now with all the you're in the spotlight virtually every night and every day in the public, in the paper or on the TV and all that stuff, that this would be discussed on how to conduct yourself, away from the field, on the field and away from the field.
Absolutely.
But anyway, that's pretty much
okay. Well, that's our deep dive into the 5 tools. Now, you told me before we started this that there was a fish story you wanted to tell.
Yeah, a baseball fish story.
Well, tell your baseball fish story.
Okay. All right. In 1978, I was in AA with the Jackson Mets Farm Club and Texas League. So we had a player named Dan Smith. Now Dan's passed away now, and he would validate this too. But this guy, we'd get off an 8-day road trip, and he'd hook the boat up and go fishing before he said hello to his wife. This is the kind of fisherman he was. I mean, and there's another buddy of ours, Dave Covert, over in Meridian, Mississippi, that he liked to fish too. So we got together and we decided we're going to go fishing. But all this time, Dan had been bragging to Bob Wellman, our manager, what a great fisherman he was. Well, Bob always said you couldn't catch a fish if you're on your best day. He said you couldn't catch a coal in a windstorm, much less a fish. Anyway, well, we took that as fun. That was funny. Well, Dan was kind of offended at it.
Yeah.
And it was always, well, I'll show him. We'll go fishing, and I'll bring home a string of fish that he'll understand. Well, take it easy, Dan. So, well, I say all that to say this. When we got out of spring training, we got to Jackson, and we were there in this spring. It wasn't quite summer yet, but the bass were spawning. Okay,
that's February, March.
Yeah. So anyway, we went to a residential lake in Jackson. It's out by the Ross Barnett Reservoir, and these 2 kids took us out there that worked at the ballpark. They were showing us around, and went out in the boat. We caught a string of fish like you wouldn't believe. It was great. Well, at the end, Dan was talking about, well, this isn't good enough to prove to Bob, but we're going to take them anyway. They were keepers. Well, the kids said, well, wait, come over to our house. We got a walk-in freezer. I got a couple fish here. I want to show you. This is a whopper of a story, too. Well, it got to be, and we go over there. These fish were caught, and they put in a freezer, okay, and then frozen.
Right.
Well, the scales were coming off. The eyes were kind of poked out, and Dan says, can I have those fish? I said, yeah, you can have them. We're not going to do anything with them. So 2 9-pound bass.
Wow.
It was amazing. And I thought, well, look at these fish. Well, it was really amazing when they thawed out. Oh, my gosh, that was the worst smell. And we put them on that stringer. It was the middle of the day. Okay, we go in the clubhouse, and Bob's already there, doing his paperwork. And I come walking in with those things on that stringer, over my shoulder. And he said, wow, where'd you buy those? And I thought, well, somebody's already got to Bob already. Anyway, we go in, put them in a big number 2 wash tub, all those fish with those 2 big bass. And the field crew guys are coming in, the groundskeepers and all that. And we had a nice-looking older lady that was doing our marketing for us. Judy Shute was her name. She came in, looked at those fish. She took off. Well, we didn't think anything of it. Well, here we are with this big lie. This lie we told all these people, and Bob was there to hear it. Well, she comes running back. She said, leave those fish right there. The editor of the Field and Stream and the paper is coming to do a story on them.
Wow.
And I said, I looked at Dan and I looked at Dave and I said, okay, time out. Let's go in the dugout. Well, I said, we going to lie about this or we going to confess? I said, I'm not real fond about this lying part. He said, we're going to lie like troopers. They were excited about it. I was like embarrassed. I said, well, I don't know about this. Well, anyway, the guy comes in. They had us put our uniform tops on and our caps on, and we got a big picture with these two fish that we were
just
given
caught in the
to
freezer.
us. And they did a half-page article on this in the paper. I mean, I thought, how is this going to work? Well, we lived with that lie the rest of the season. The next spring training, Dan comes to me, he goes, hey, I think I got to go tell Bob. I said, has this bothered you? I said, I've forgotten about that thing. He said, yeah, let's go tell him. So we got covered too, and we went over back in the back of the locker rooms. The coaches and managers' locker room was back there. So they were in there having a meeting. We busted into the meeting, right? And Dan says, Bob, I got to tell you, we got to confess. And the first thing out of Bob's mouth was, you didn't catch those fish, did you? So Dan confessed it. It busted up the place. He told them the story, and they were all laughing about it. Well, irregardless, that didn't help us out very much in our baseball playing, but it was a good story.
It was. Well, that is our time for this episode of A Visit to the Mound. We thank you for listening. If you have any questions or comments or anything you would like for us to cover, we would love to hear from you. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Visit to the Mound, or visit us online at avisittothemound.com. Make sure you like, subscribe, and review this podcast, and be listening the next time we make A Visit to the Mound. That'll wrap up this Visit to the Mound. We certainly appreciate you joining us today for a little baseball talk. Anytime you want to hear something about baseball, you can find us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can go to roguemedianetwork.com for the next edition of A Visit to the Mound.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.